Hello and welcome to Inside Music, episode number 143. I'm your host, James Shotwell, and it's great to be with you again. I know that we just released our conversation with King 810 vocalist David Gunn earlier this week, but I wanted to come back because I had this shorty to share with you, and I call it that because, perhaps obviously, it's a little short. My guest this episode of the podcast is none other than Richie Cavalera, vocalist and founder of the band INCITE, who will release their new album, Built to Destroy, this Friday, January 25th. And if you're unfamiliar with INCITE, you're really missing out. The band has been around for over a decade now, and in that time, they have honed in on a sound in the world of metal that is aggressive, dark, profoundly cathartic, and really just something you keep finding yourself coming back to. It borders on hardcore at times. It borders on having a lot of progressive elements. But really, at the end of the day, INCITE is a platform for Richie to air his grievances, both with the world at large as well as with himself. There are songs on this record about how things are going to shit and how we have to do something or it's all going to fall apart. But there's also songs about being trashed yourself or recognizing the garbage in your own life and deciding whether or not you're going to do something about it. Because I think we all have those moments. We all find ourselves at a place where we start questioning ourselves, we start looking inward, we take stock of the good and bad about what makes us who we are, and we have to decide. We have to come to terms with it, or we have to make a change. And this album, at least from my perspective and what I gather from what Richie tells us in this conversation, is about choosing to do something different. It's about choosing to break the mold, buck the trend, do whatever you want to say that makes life different than it is right now. And maybe you can incite change, no pun intended, on a large scale. Maybe you can't change the world, but you can change your world. You can change your perspective, you can change your actions, you can change your behavior, and that alone will ripple throughout the world around you. Now, Richie and I spoke over the phone about a week ago while he was living his life out in Las Vegas, Nevada, getting ready for the album to come out, getting ready to go on tour, and we touched on all of that in just around 20 minutes. I want to keep this introduction short because I don't want to go longer than the actual conversation itself, but I do want to say that INCITE's new record, again titled Built to Destroy, is something really special. I found myself connecting with it, and I'm not typically a metal guy. I know that we have a lot of heavier acts on the show, and generally there are groups that I do enjoy, but this specific realm of metal that INCITE comes from, it's not something that I would call my bread and butter or my normal, my thing I listen to all the time. But when the album came into my inbox, I was just struck by how powerful some of these songs were, and I needed to talk to Richie about it because I really feel like he's doing something special. Now, before we get to the conversation, I wanted to point out a few quick things, namely that this episode of Inside Music and all episodes of the show are brought to you by Holix, the music industry's leading promotional distribution company. And what that means is that Holix works with managers, publicists, record labels, and independent artists from all over the world to share new and unreleased music without fear of piracy. To learn how they do this and gain access to a free 30-day trial, visit Holix.com today. That's HAULIX.com. And when you get there, just click on the sign up button in the top right-hand corner, choose a plan that fits your needs, and sign up. You will not be charged until the end of your first month, so go ahead and give it a try. If it doesn't work for you, if you don't like it, just cancel before that month's up and nothing will happen. Otherwise, you can keep using the platform and be in the same ranks as people like Chance the Rapper, Metallica, Blink-182, and hundreds of other artists who rely on Holix to share their music on a weekly basis. I also want to encourage you to follow Holix online. We just launched a brand new company blog, which I am overseeing, and we have a lot of great things on the horizon. So you can find us on pretty much any social platform by searching Holix, which again is HAULIX. That's HAULIX. And if you want to find me online, you can do that as well. It's James D. Shotwell, just like it sounds. James, D is in dog, dynasty, dynamite, whatever you want to say, then shot well, like he was shot very well. Anyways, I want to thank you so much for listening. I want to keep encouraging you to check us out on YouTube. Every episode of Inside Music is now on there, including the one you're listening to as right this second. And as a kind of a bonus, we just launched Music Biz 101, which is a video essay series exploring the music industry today and how we as professionals and amateurs on the rise can navigate it better. The first episode features future guests of the show, Heart Attack Man, and their unique approach to marketing, which is something I really love. So again, find us on YouTube. Just search Inside Music Podcast or Music Biz 101. Okay, I think that's everything I have, so please sit back, relax, and enjoy this conversation with Richie Cavalera of INCITE.
I live in Vegas currently, so I'm here for about another week and a half until tour starts.
What's it like in Vegas right now? I have some friends that were just there and they texted me to say it was like 40 degrees and it blew my mind.
Man, it's freezing. There's snow on all the mountains around. It's my first winter here, so I'm blown away by it as well. I didn't think it was gonna be this cold.
I was in Vegas, I think last December in 2017, and it was like 70 degrees. So when I heard 40, I was like, that can't be right. What's going on?
Oh yeah, we've been getting down to like 33, 31. Yeah, it's been cold.
Where did you move to Vegas from?
I was in Huntington Beach for 2 years, and then LA, and then we came out here.
Do you prefer Vegas?
Oh, definitely. LA was a shit show, man. That place was insane. If you're not a millionaire and driving BMWs, everybody there just treats you like complete shit.
Yeah, that tends to be my thoughts on LA as well. That and New York City for the matter, like both those big cities. I'm like, I could do without them most of the time.
Yeah, that was definitely a mistake, but I'm happy we did it just so we knew it was a mistake and, learn from it.
Well, I'm real excited about this record, man. I got it about a month ago today almost. I think I checked and I got it on December 7th. So yeah, just over a month ago now. And I've listened to it quite a bit since then. I really like what you guys have put together.
Thank you, man. Yeah, we're very happy about it, man. Definitely feels like the album we've been waiting to make since day one.
And that's really saying something for your band because you guys have been around in one form or another since 2004, and the more formal lineup, I guess. You've always been a part of the fixture, but this lineup in particular has been together for what is this, your third or fourth album together?
This is our third album. Just about 6 years together. So it's finally been that consistency and just having adults and grown-ups and people that are focused on the mission at hand, being able to tour and, do all the things that go in part with being in a band. We were a lot of younger dudes in those early lineups, so I just think it was a little too much for them, to deal with. And, people when you're young, you expect to get big overnight, and, it doesn't happen in this business. So I think the patience ran out with those guys, but, it happened.
Yeah, it's just part of growing up. I always joke that it's easy to meet a lot of 21-year-olds who want to work in music, but it's harder to meet someone that's 30 or older that wants to work in music.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. We're all in our 30s now, so doing this for 6 years, we're all happy with where it's growing, and these are just things that this lineup and these guys, have always dreamed of doing. So to be able to do it, like we are, is just a dream come true.
So it's been a couple of years since the last album from INCITE came out, and it's not the longest you guys have gone between full lengths, I guess, but you did have a run there where it was like every other year, and then there's like this 3-year gap from Oppression to now. So like what has happened since the last time the band put out a record, and maybe why did it take so long to get here?
I think, kind of the speed and the early, between like All Out War and Up in Hell was really about the fact of changing the members. We wanted to kind of get the new guys involved and get on some music. I think that makes people feel more in tune with the project, going forward. So that was kind of the big thing to kind of rush those albums and get going. And now, that we're kind of settled in with the guys and, we were able to just take our time. And with touring, it's been a lot crazier now. We're on the road quite a bit. So to be able to put out an album and put the time we need into it, it takes the right scheduling and everything to work out just right. So that's kind of what we found with this process, just take it easy, tour our asses off, and, just kind of become comfortable with each other playing and excuse me, and just, advancing on our skills. And I think what this album shows, and the writing process was a bit different this time around, and I think it just kind of made everything feel a lot better for us. And having more time is always great, especially writing songs and making music.
What would you say specifically changed with the writing of this record compared to the last one?
On the previous 4, we had always done it like, kind of have the guitar player write a bunch of riffs, kind of in pieces and sections, and then, kind of put them all together, and with this one, it was more, let's let Drew, kind of structure these songs, get all the riffs in place, and then present them to us, and it made it so much easier. By the time we got these songs in demo form from him, we're so much more ahead to where we can just start focusing on, fine tuning parts, removing things we didn't like, or, whatever it may be. And then, the guys coming in and putting their touch on, the basic things that Drew put in. So that had a huge impact with how this record came out for us, I think.
Well, whatever you did, it's absolutely working, because the album bangs hard and it doesn't really stop. Like, it kicks off with Built to Destroy, obviously, but it doesn't really let up throughout the entire album.
No, and I think the big thing people notice right off the guitar work and the soloing. Previous albums we maybe had 1 or 2, kind of gradually growing as we put out albums, and with this one I think you have 8 tracks have lead solos, and they're all killer and very personal in their own ways. And I just think it, like you said, it came out killer, man. That was, rocked it with the sound, and gave us a great production.
Speaking of Built to Destroy, which I referenced a second ago, you guys did choose that to be the lead single for the record. You made a video for it. Is that one of those songs that when you're in the writing process, you just know right away it's going to be the single, or was it kind of tough to choose what song you'd lead with?
Man, you know what? I felt that song the second I heard it in the demo form. It just, that guitar lead that kind of starts it was just so explosive in my mind. And that's kind of how all these openers or slash, kind of songs go, as far as like we've been, with the Aftermath song or the Up in Hell single, or, we've all just kind of those songs early and known from the start that it was going to be, that track or that opening track or the big one of the album. And, I always look for that to kind of start the way of, the recording process and the writing process. So it's nice to always get that opening banger, out in demo mode and be excited about it then, because then, it's just going to really kill when the production's put on it.
Now, are you going to share any additional songs before the album comes out at the end of the month, or are you kind of riding the single now and just building up the hype that way?
Label, we have another video that's done. It's sitting there. It's for the song Resistance. We recorded it out in LA and did it on, Skid Row. It's a song of inequality and, people in the bottom and the poor and, people that aren't, as well off, standing up and fighting back. Here in LA, one block over there's $20,000 watches, the next there's people living in tents, and, it's just a completely different world what's going on there. That video, with the label, will be out either before or just right after it comes out.
That sounds great, man, and I actually really dig that song. I was going to bring up that track, and the one song on the record that I keep coming back to, and I think when it's out, it'll probably be the song that I'm like, if you need to check this out, is Confronting Darkness. Track really rips.
Yeah, that was...
Can you tell me a little bit about where that song comes from?
Yeah, that's just cleaning the bad out of your life. You kind of get, as you grow older, you kind of see around you, and that's what the song is really focused around and meant to be. And it's so different, I think, in terms of this record. It's kind of the more obscure song we've got, and it just shows again, the growth and we're not willing to put ourselves out there and try different things and expand on the groove and energy we have. So, that song's definitely a trip. It's very cool. Definitely want to see when it comes out live.
Absolutely. And you have a few guest features on this record as well, which I'm a big fan of guest features. I feel like more heavy acts need to do guest features on their album, and you guys came through here with two. You have Kirk from Crowbar and Chris from 6 Feet Under. When did those come up in the creation of the album? I mean, is that something that when you're writing the song, you're like, this seems like something we need Kirk on, or did it come up another way?
You know, with the guest songs, usually, you know, we don't have those quite figured out. We like to kind of look back through our touring experiences that we've had throughout the year, and you know what band members did we, you know, particularly bond with. And you know, Kirk and Chris were just two of those guys. You know, they've both taken us on, you know, 2 different tours, and they're just really cool individuals as far as, you know, the way metal people go. You know, hold on one second. They're you know, they're just more normal, you know, in this day and age, for guys like them that have been around for so long, you know, to give us the time of day and hang out with us and give us these killer tours. We just knew they were the guys we wanted. And when we asked them, you know, we hadn't really had the songs picked out yet, but you kind of have an idea, you know, of what you want to do. And I think once you get them recorded, you kind of solidify that idea and put them in the places that they need to go. And I think it turned out good. Both songs kind of fit each guy, and, you know, they kind of have the feel of their style of music, which you always want, so the artist doesn't feel awkward or, you know, doing things that aren't comfortable for him. So that was a big part in how we picked that.
Well, they turned out great, man. Was there anything that you wanted to do for this album that maybe you weren't able to get, maybe another guest feature, or I don't know, is there anything that you didn't have time to put into this record, or is it all here?
Man, that's the thing with this one. This is the first time we've ever had just the time, you know, from pre-production to, you know, guitar leads to vocals. Just, you know, we were able to get Zeus to master the album, which was just like the final, you know, topping on the cake, sort of say. And, you know, this album, it just was everything, man. I think that's why it really came out like it did and has the impact that it did. Because, you know, we sit here now listening to it, you know, 6-7 months after we recorded it, and everything just feels so beautiful. And, you know, I still hear tracks that are getting better each time I hear them, to me. So, no, man, it's just exciting, man. I can't wait for people to hear this, because I think they're really going to be like, damn, this is the album we've been waiting for, you know. So hopefully that's the response.
That's good, man. Tell me a little bit about working with Steve Evitts on this album, because I know Steve did the last album as well, right? So what brought you guys back together? What is it about how he understands what INCITE is trying to do that makes you guys such a good pair?
Oh man, just the vibe is the first step. You know, he becomes like the 5th member of the band. And, you know, from your last question, that's the problem we came to at the end of recording Oppression was, you know, we weren't satisfied with what we did, because, you know, we were giving the time, you know. So when we came to this, that, you know, talk, just like, yo, we need to do another one, but we need to have the time as far as recording goes. We need to have the time as far as pre-production goes. So this time around, you know, we said all that was Oppression. We didn't have that. And, you know, a lot of the guitars were recorded with Steve's assistant, and, you know, just things that, you know, but that's just the time factor. And, you know, with this one, we got all that time. So it was like Steve got to work with everybody and focus with everybody. And, you know, just love the guy. He's intelligent. He knows how to talk to you. He doesn't force things on you. And, you know, that's just, that's what you want in a producer. Because I've definitely had, you know, a guy, just the worst thing you could ever experience, you know, and it just totally puts a drag on the whole process when, you know, it's already a challenge, but you want it to be as fun as possible, you know.
Absolutely. And you also mentioned getting to work with Zeus on this record. Now, is that a goal you've had for a while now? I imagine that for starters, getting to fit into Zeus's schedule has to be difficult because he's a busy man, but then to be with somebody who's been responsible for so many huge albums, it must be quite a scenario to find yourself in.
Oh man, we've been trying to get him to produce the last 3 albums, but like you said, you know, his scheduling is just insane, man. And he's working with the best bands in the world. And, you know, for us, it was just about putting him on this album in any way, shape, or form. So when he, you know, agreed to come on and master it and, you know, do all the final touches, it was just like a dream come true. And, you know, that's again to where just kind of everything with this album is just falling to creating albums and music and, you know, doing all this hard work of promotion and stuff. You know, you just got to get lucky sometimes, man. I think that's how the big bands get big. You know, you got to have a few breaks every now and then where things just kind of go your way.
Would you say you learned anything from this process that maybe you hadn't, I don't know, discovered or learned about yourself in the last few records? Like, what was your biggest takeaway from making this? Is it just that time factor of like sometimes you need to give it the time that it needs to get the thing done the way you want it?
Yeah, my big thing too was focus. You know, a lot of these albums, man, I'm so busy with press and, you know, getting the schedules together, dealing with the wife, you know, family, all these things. So with this album, it was just kind of like, leave me alone, you know, for 3 months, 4 months, you know, it was just complete focus and, you know, nothing else kind of coming in the way. And, you know, for me, I think that just made a huge impact on my writing as well as my performance in the studio, you know, to kind of just have everything be focused on this album and nothing else. It made a huge difference.
Now, before we move on to the tour plans, I do want to bring up the album art because it is equally badass. It fits the vibe of the record. Who made the album cover and what was your vision for it? Is that, I guess, start with that and we'll kind of move on from there. But I'm curious, like when that idea comes to you in the process of creating an album.
So, you know, I've kind of been hands-on with every other, you know, album cover. And with this one, I wanted L, the bass player, to kind of step up and take over. You know, I'm kind of, as I'm getting older and I'm having the same guys and feeling more comfortable, I'm trying to pass jobs on, you know, to other guys and, you know, make them more involved as well as give me a little break. So, you know, L came in and, you know, he had this killer idea. You know, we had the title figured out, so it was, you know, kind of an easy battle for him to figure out. But, you know, we grabbed Andrei Buzikov, who's been doing all the killer new, like, thrash bands from Municipal Waste to Toxic Holocaust and, you know, so many more. And, you know, as you said, it's just an amazing piece of art. And, you know, it just described everything we want. We feel like, you know, when you look at that, it's us as a band, just each piece being assembled, you know, and we finally feel that we're built to destroy, you know, it's a term for it, you know. So it just kind of all plays with the record, plays with the whole thing. And L, you know, just smashed out of the park. He gave the guy, you know, 2 separate ideas, you know, very similar. And, you know, this is the one they went with, and I couldn't be happier with it. I can't wait to see it on a shirt.
That was gonna be my exact next comment. It seems like it's something that's made to set you up for really good merch heading into this year of touring.
Oh, definitely, man. The whole artwork of the booklet and everything was done by Andre, so it's all like one giant piece, man, rather than just, you know, a bunch of blotted bullshit like we've kind of done in our past. So it's cool to have a complete album from top to bottom.
What are you doing in terms of touring this year? I know you mentioned that you're home for a little bit longer before you head out. What kicks off the year for you?
Yeah, January 25th, the day the album actually comes out, we start a U.S. tour with Soulfly and Cataclysm, and that goes literally all over the U.S., all the major markets. You know, it's kind of full nationwide run for about 6 weeks, so we couldn't have, you know, once again, just kind of everything lining up for this record, you know, to have a tour start the day an album comes out is just like a dream come true. And, you know, that's going to be a rager. Haven't toured with the old man for, you know, quite a while. So it's always cool to get out there and, you know, put the boots to. Then after that, we'll be off to Europe with Carizian and Septic Flesh, which, you know, should be another amazing tour. And after that, you know, we just got announced on the Bloodstock Festival over in the UK, which, you know, for this band is a huge thing. We've been trying to get on these massive festivals for, you know, 15 years now. So to finally have landed one, it's just like, man, we're blown away. We can't wait to see what these songs are going to do in front of, you know, 20,000 people at one time. It's going to be hell on earth.
Definitely sounds like it. Can you give the listeners a little bit of insight? You know, the world of metals, and there's so much debate these days about what the state of it is in and where it's at and where it's going. But let's start real simple. Who is representing the metal community better? Is it the Europe side of things or the state side of things?
I think European metalheads are definitely, crushing, but, I think the bands wise, the talent is coming from the U.S. right now, especially with a lot of these up and comers. And, the European fans, they're just hungry, they're not so saturated with bands and shows constantly. So I think their love for it's just a little different and a little more crazy. So, you see a little bit of it firing back up in the States, though, in like the Midwest and the South and stuff where they've kind of been neglected for a long time. So, it's coming.
Well, I feel like it all comes in waves, and like when you first got into music in like 2004, there was this new wave of like heavy stuff kind of coming into the public eye, and it had this resurgence, and then things kind of quieted back down. But I feel like we're really ramping back up to another big wave of heavy music.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you have bands like Power Trip and Gate Creeper and Full of Hell and, Lago and Goat Horde, just a lot of killer new bands that are really, putting metal on the map. And that's good, because you've got Slayers and Metallicas and, Soulflies and all these bands, they're getting old, they're pushing 50s and 60s. So it's time to have the next crop come up and, secure metal and continue it on for a long time more.
Absolutely. Now, for you, talking about this record coming out at the end of the month, do you set goals for yourself and for the band? Like, we need to do this, or is it more you've already made something that you're proud of? So is it more just riding the wave and seeing what it becomes?
Oh no, man, we're grinding to focus on certain things constantly. A big thing for us is we want to get to Australia as well as Japan. Those are things we haven't done. As well as, just getting to tour with certain bands. We're dying to tour with like, the Lamb of Gods and the Hate Breeds and, this next tier of bands just to see what we can do and, see where this band is at and how much it can crumble people. We're very, very excited for the future.
Well, absolutely, man. Well, I want to thank you for your time, taking a bit to talk to me today. I know we got a bit of a late start, but I hope it warms up in Vegas before you leave, and I'm sure you'll see plenty of weather over the next 6 or 7 weeks.
Hey, thank you so much, man. And, we're so thankful for the support and, spreading the word. And, all I got to say, man, is just keep it metal and, the rest will fall into place.
Absolutely, man. Well, best of luck with everything, and hopefully we can catch up maybe later in the year and see how this is all going for you.
Oh, I'm so about it, man. Thank you so much. Have a great day, James.
You too. Bye.
Bye.